Hello friends, I am here today to share with you my 2021 favorite reads. How many did I end up with? I ended up with a list of 26, but like some of them are like a few from a series, so I counted those as one, but like the series was a favorite. And some of them I don't currently have in my possession because I forced like my sister and my best friend to read them. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. The first one was A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmer. I always mess up those titles. This is book 3 in her Curse Breaker series. It was the finale of this series, and I thought it was a great ending to a series that I really enjoyed. It is the final one in a trilogy, so I don't want to say too much about it, but I loved it a lot. The next one I want to talk about is My Darling Duke by Stacey Reid. This is book 1 in her Sinful Wallflowers series. This book was so good. So this one is about Catherine, and she's trying to find, is it a better match for her sisters? I think she's trying to find like she's lost all hope for herself, so she's trying to find better matches for her sisters. So she says that she's engaged to this duke that nobody has seen in years. He's a recluse. I think he lived somewhere up north. And the beginning of this takes place in London. But she says she's engaged to him, and then those rumors get back to him, and he was like, who is this that I'm supposedly engaged to? And so he goes to London and convinces her to move in with him, essentially, and like work together. I forget exactly what it was that he needed a bride for something. I forget exactly what it was, but this was so good, and I cannot wait to continue on in the series. Next was Muses Melodies by Rebecca Yarros. This is book 3 in the Hush Note series. This is a rock star romance series, and this one is I guess he's just like the guitarist for the band. Book 1 was the singer, book 2 was the drummer, and now it's the guitarist, and he has substance abuse issues. He doesn't really handle being on the road or being at home from tour very well. But I don't remember if it's the management company or the like record label. They hire him a handler, and that is the main female character in this, and she's got to spend a lot of time with him. She's supposed to keep him out of trouble. He ends up like booking tickets to her hometown, which is kind of a connection to some of Rebecca Yarros' other books. And yeah, this is the book that made me realize that I liked the celebrity and handler type trope, but it's so good. Nixon broke my heart. He's the guitarist for the band. He broke my heart in books 1 and 2. Not in the same way that this one broke my heart, but just kind of a like, how are they going to redeem him type way. But Rebecca Yarros can do this. She can do it. So this next one is 3 from a quartet series. It's the Scandalous Highlander series by Suzanne Enoch. I think these are in order. This is Rogue with a Brogue. No, this one I think was towards the end of the series, because this is the group is about brothers who have to find brides. And this one is he falls for like the daughter of a rival clan. This one is Some Like It Scot. Maybe this wasn't the one where they had to find brides. Maybe that was the other Suzanne Enoch one. But this one is one of the brothers finds this woman while he's out like hunting. I don't know what he was doing. I don't remember. But he finds this woman, and her sister are in hiding because I don't remember. One of them was running away from, I think she was running away from a marriage, like an arranged marriage that she didn't want. And then she took her sister with her to like protect her too. And then this one, I think this one is, yeah, first in a series. This one is The Devil Wears Kilts. This one, the brother's sister has run away to London from Scotland, and they like go to London to find her and bring her home, and she is staying with this family that was friends with their mom or something, and he falls for one of the daughters of that family. Yeah, but I really loved this series. The one that was a bit of a letdown was the sister's book, because she was like always in love with the brother's like best friend, and so that was a bit of a letdown. I think just because Susanne built it up so much that it didn't quite hit that expectations, but it still was a 4-star. These 3 were 5 stars though. If you've been around my videos this year, you've probably heard me rave and rave about this one, but I had to put The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros on my favorites. This is a dual timeline This is a dual timeline story. Present day follows a woman who has inherited her grandmother's estate. Her grandmother was this famous like romance novelist. So she's got a book that is not finished, and her mom kind of tricks her into hiring this male author to finish it. And they kind of have a difference of opinion on how the story should end and why it should end the way they think it should. And then the other storyline is World War II England, and it's so good. I cried so much during this book. There's a twist, and I did not see the twist coming. I've seen a couple of people say that they did. They kind of suspected it, but I didn't see it coming, and I loved this. Right after that, another Rebecca Yarros I have on here is Beyond What Is Given. This is book 3 in her Flight and Glory series. This one was my favorite couple from the series. This one is Grayson and Sam. Grayson is part of the group of guys the series is about a group of guys training to be fighter pilots. He's one of them, so he's studied and all of that. And Sam, she was friends with a girl, I think the girl from book 1 she was friends with. She's friends with one of the girls from 1 or 2. And she ends up needing a place to stay. I think her mother was in the military, and something happened to where she got kicked out of school. So she needed a place to stay, so she ends up moving in with Grayson and one of the other guys. So it's a little bit forced proximity. They both have a lot that they're dealing with. This was so good. So good. I highly recommend this series too, but this one was my favorite. The next one was one that actually surprised me a little bit. I knew I would like it, or I thought I would like it, but I didn't know that I would love it as much as I did. And that is Here With Me by Samantha Young. Like, I read this all in a day. Physically, I read this all in a day. And so, like, I just could not put this book down. It's about Robin, who used to be a police officer, but she has stepped away from that after, I think she was shot. She had some type of incident where she was hurt. But she stepped away from that, and she has decided to go to, was it Scotland? Yes, Scotland. She decides to go to Scotland because her dad is a security officer for, like, head of security officer for this, like, big rich family. But she doesn't know much about him, and she thinks, I think a therapist or something mentions that maybe she should work through some of the issues, like the abandonment issues that she has from growing up without her father. So she goes to Scotland to meet her father, and she ends up falling for the son of the family that he works for. The son, like, runs the family now. And it's not like a mob family or anything, I don't think. I kind of started to get that vibe, but it didn't really ever specifically say that. But there is a mystery element to the story. It's a bit of a romantic suspense, and like, all in a day, it had me hooked. The next one I don't actually own yet. I asked for it for Christmas, and it was not something that I got, so gonna have to get it myself now. That is The Dugout by Megan Quinn. This is in her Brentwood series. I said that, and now I'm like, I don't know that that's the name of the series. I think it is. It's her baseball romance series. And this one I liked the most because the main female character really knew what she was talking about with baseball, and she, like, that was like one of the things that she was comfortable with, she was confident in. I loved that about her. Some of the other ones, Megan Quinn does time jumps in the books that I've read so far in this series. Megan Quinn does time jumps, and this is the only one where it didn't bug me. I felt like it was a natural progression. I felt like she showed the natural progression of how things were during this time. So next is two from a trilogy, the Beau Street Bachelor series by Kate Bateman. Book 1, This Earl of Mine. This one is shipping heiress. She is trying to find a husband so that she's trying to find a husband who's going to be killed. So she goes to, like, death row. But she needs a husband who won't live very long so that she can keep her part of her father's shipping company. She gets to the prison. The one she was supposed to meet is not there anymore. He's been already killed. So the one that, I don't know why I'm blanking so much. The one that she ends up picking and marrying, she's told that he's going to be shipped out to, I guess, slavery, essentially, the next morning, but he is actually an undercover Beau Street runner, so he gets out and they are married. And then book 3 is The Princess and the Rogue, and this is essentially an Anastasia retelling, and it is so good. I loved the dynamic between, I think her name was just Anna, I think is what she went by, and then Sebastian, who, like, I think she, like, befriends his aunt or somebody in his family, some wealthy older woman in his family, Anna befriends, and that older woman, like, essentially enlists his help to protect her, and it's so good. I loved their dynamic in this one, so these highly recommend. Book 2 was really good as well. It's just, I wanted more from book 2, so these were my favorites. Next is 2 from the O'Malley's series by Katie Robert. I have The Wedding Pact. One is one of the O'Malley daughters, and she's supposed to be getting set up for an arranged marriage, but the guy that she actually keeps running into, that she's really drawn to, is an enemy, like a rival family. An indecent proposal is a woman who's running away from, like, a different mob family, her own mob family, and she ends up running into him. I don't think they had any issues, like, until this. I don't know that they were, like, rivals. I think they were just on different sides. But yeah, this one is a single mom romance, and she meets one of the O'Malley brothers. Next was Love for Beginners by Jill Shalvis. I don't know if this is the last in her Wildstone series, because she is about to start a new series for 2022. But this is the newest one in the Wildstone series, and this one is about Emma, who she was in a really bad accident, so she's woken up from a coma and she's going through physical therapy. She realizes that I think it was her fiance and her best friend have fallen in love while she's been in a coma. So she doesn't really ask her physical therapist for help, but he kind of, like, takes it upon himself to, I just got so tired all of a sudden. He kind of, like, takes it upon himself to help her out. He ends up, like, subletting her his apartment and is in the same building that he's living in with his dad now. He, like, gets his cousin to become, well, doesn't really get his cousin to become her friend, but that is essentially kind of what happens. But I really liked this one because it really focused a lot on just, like, things aren't always the way you see them. There was a lot with his cousin and how they were in high school they kind of had to be worked through, but they do become friends, and then she falls for the physical therapist, and yeah. Next one that I want to talk about is The Most Beautiful Girl in Cuba by Chanel Cleaton. This one had, I think, 3 main, like, female characters. Yes. There's Grace, who is a reporter in New York City. There is Evangelina, who is in jail in Cuba for trying to being a revolutionary. And then there is Marina, who says she's a courier, but she is working for the revolution in Cuba. This one was a lot. This one, I probably should have put this on the ones that made me cry. I definitely remember crying during that now. But yeah, this one was a lot to handle. I felt like this one kind of delved, I think like each book in, I don't know if it's a series, each book in this Chanel Clayton like world here, I think it dives deeper into the Cuban like history each time, and I think that this one did like a lot more into that, but I really enjoyed it. Next was another one that kind of surprised me how much I really liked it, and that is Broken French by Tasha Boyd. This one is a nanny single father romance. Excuse me. It takes place in like the south of France. It's very like atmospheric. There's a draw kind of between the two main characters. They're drawn to each other pretty quickly, but like they're boss and employee, so but I really liked the process of them getting together. I really enjoyed her relationship with his daughter. I really enjoyed her relationship with the other people who work on the boat and kind of trying to find a balance, because she doesn't really fit in with them, but she doesn't really fit in as part of the family either. I really enjoyed Broken French. It was another one that I thought I would like. I thought it would be okay, but I was surprised that like it ended up in my favorites for the year. Next is two more that were part of a trilogy. I have 9 Rules to Break When Romancing a Rake by Sarah McLean. So this one is about a girl who she had followed all the rules growing up, or a woman. She'd followed all the rules growing up, and she had just become an unmarried, almost spinster aged. So she decides she's going to break the rules, and that puts her in the line of a Marquess. And then I also have 10 Ways to be Adored When Landing a Lord, also by Sarah McLean. So this one, it says that he is named London's Lord to Land by Popular Ladies magazine. So he ends up trying to take a break from London society, but he actually ends up in the same place as Lady Isabel. But yeah, so these two from the, I think it's called the Love by Numbers series or something like that. Next was another Sarah McLean, and that was Bombshell. This is her newest release from 2021. This is Hell's Bells Book 1. This is Cecily? Is that? Yes, I think that's how you say her name. She was the younger sister of whatever that other book series is called. I forget what it's called. But she's like the younger sister of that family that's in a previous Sarah McLean book. And one of the sisters in that book actually owned a tavern with an American man. They partnered together. And this is Cecily's story with that American. I am very far behind on this book. It came out ages ago, but It Ain't Me Babe by Tilly Cole. If you like motorcycle club romances, you need to pick this one up. There's too much happening in this book and in this series for me to describe why I liked it so much. But if you enjoy motorcycle club romances, you need to pick this one up, is all I'm going to say. So I have another historical romance series. This one is by Tessa Dare. It is the Castles Ever After series. So I have book 1, Romancing the Duke. She inherits a castle, gets there and finds out that a blind, I think he was blind, Duke lives there. This one is Say Yes to the Marquess. She has been betrothed to she's been betrothed to a Marquess. And it's been 8 years and she's tired of waiting, so she goes to have his brother cancel the betrothal because I think the Marquess is at war or something. He's a soldier, something like that. The brother won't do it though, and he tries to convince her to stay engaged, but her and the brother end up falling in love. Next is When a Scot Ties the Knot. This is another one where the woman pretends to have a suitor, and she's writing letters to this man who's off at war, but it turns out that there actually is somebody there with that name, and he's getting the letters, and when he shows up, like, they fall in love. The next two are actually ones that I don't own yet. The first one is Throw Like a Girl by Sarah Henning. This is a YA about a softball player in high school, and she, like, some things are said during a game, and she basically, like, beats up the player from the other team. So she ends up getting, like, kicked out of school, and the school that she ends up, she goes to a private school. She ends up getting kicked out of the private school, and the team that she ends up having to, or the school that she ends up having to go to is the school that the team of the girl that she beat up is. That sentence went way off. Anyway, she's now going to the school with the girl that she beat up, or her old school. That girl was a senior and comes back later. But basically, she's trying to join that softball team, but that coach basically tells her, you know, like, I don't know that you're a team player. What happened? Like, I was there. I saw it. So in order to prove that she's a team player, she ends up meeting the quarterback for the football team, and he convinces her to join as his backup because he was in an accident and is hurt and will miss a couple of games. So he, like, trains her and all of that, and it's their romance, but it's also her learning about herself, growing up, that kind of thing. It was so good. And then the next one was also a YA contemporary, and that is More Than Maybe by Erin Hahn. I really like Erin Hahn's YA books, or this is only the second one I've read, but they both kind of dealt with music, which I really like. Music it still is a big part of my life, but I feel like it was a bigger part of my life when I was in high school. So this one, the girl she works with her stepfather at a club where musicians come in and play, but I think she has a blog, and she wants to be a, like, music journalist, and then she ends up meeting a guy with a podcast. I think it's him and his brother have a podcast that, where they talk about music because their dad was a famous rock star back in the day. And this one it was so good. I love this one a lot. Next was Well Matched by Jen DeLuca. The series is back. It's saved. We're just going to pretend book 2 didn't happen. This one is April and Mitch. April is the sister of the girl in book 1. Mitch is the guy in the kilt who's the best friends with the guy in book 1. Yes, it's a single mother, but I feel like this one is different from a lot of the single mom ones that I've read because her daughter is so much older. Her daughter is almost out of high school. Mitch is a coach, I think, at the school, and then he works at the Renaissance Fair, and yes, so good. So the next two are another two that I don't currently have because, well, I listened to them on audio, but my sister was the one who pointed me in the direction of this series, and I'd read the first 3 previously, but this one is Sapphire Flames and Emerald Blaze by Ilona Andrews. This is just the next set in her Hidden Legacy series. It's a new couple. I think I enjoy this couple a little bit more than I enjoy the couple from the first trilogy. But it's kind of I guess kind of like an urban fantasy. It takes place in Houston, but magic is real and well known in the world of the Hidden Legacy series. So yes, it does kind of branch off from the first set, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but yes, I loved these two so far. I was hoping book 3 was already out, but it's not, so hopefully 2022. Another Suzanne Enoch series. This one is a trilogy, and I have 2 books here on my list. First one is Scot Under the Covers. So this one, she's basically being blackmailed to save her brother. She's being blackmailed into a marriage that she doesn't want. They, like, come up with an agreement of if she can help him, like, fit in society and find a bride, then he will help her get out of the marriage. But, like, obviously that's not gonna work. And then the next one is It's Getting Scot in Here. This is Amelia Rose, and this one is the one where they have to find English brides to appease their mother. Amelia Rose is like the one that was the girl that was picked out for the oldest brother. But he doesn't like her because she's very strong-willed, and he thinks he wants somebody kind of meeker. Is that a word? Meeker? More meek? Meeker. Anyway, she's more strong-willed than he thinks he's looking for, and so one of the younger brothers is another one. It's another one where he's like trying to like sway her of like he's a good guy, he's this and this and this, but like they fall in love in the process. So these two from the series, highly recommend. There is another one, but I just didn't enjoy that one as much as these two. Then was The Duke's Perfect Wife by Jennifer Ashley. This is in her Mackenzies and McBride series. This one is Hart Mackenzie and Lady Eleanor, who they used to be engaged, but through like things happening, they went their separate ways, and now they're back together. Something about photos. Yes, she's reappeared on his doorstep with scandalous nude photographs of him taken long ago, but she doesn't know who has these photos or where they're coming from, so it's a little bit of mystery in that situation, but it's them working together to find out all of that and then falling back in love in the process. Then next was Any Duchess Will Do by Tessa Dare. This is in her Spindle Cove series. Yes, I think. But basically Griffin is a duke and he doesn't want to get married. But his mother takes him to Spindle Cove and is basically like, pick a woman, I'm going to turn her into a duchess. So he picks I think she's like she works in the kitchen, or she cleans in the like pub that they're in. But basically he tells her like I was a little skeptical of this at the beginning because I thought it was just going to be kind of a mean-spirited, I pick her because she'll never become a duchess. But he does tell her that he wants her to try to fight against his mother and not listen and do everything bad so that his mother will give up on the idea of him getting married. But in that scheme, they end up falling in love. And the last book that I want to talk about is All the Feels by Olivia Dade. This is book 2 in her, I would assume that it's called like Fandom something series. The first one is spoiler alert. This is book 2. Alexander is part of the cast, same movie or same TV show cast as the guy from spoiler alert. And then Lauren is hired as I think she's a nurse, but she's hired as his like handler again. The same thing as the Rockstar Romance earlier. But she's hired as his handler to like keep him out of trouble. They kind of fall in love in that process, while she does technically work for his production company. And then when he realizes that people are like talking about her weight and talking about her, I think she's family members with the person who runs the show or whatever. He basically causes this big scene and is like, you shouldn't talk to her like that and all that kind of stuff. And it's so good. I loved this book so much. Yeah. So those are my 2021 favorites. If you read any of these, what did you think about them? What were your favorites? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!